We're joined now by Jussie Smollett's attorney, Tina Glandian. Tina, good morning. It's good to see you.
Obviously, you can disguise that. You could put makeup on. There is actually, interestingly enough, a video. You know, I think police did minimal investigation in this case. It took me all of 5 minutes to Google. You know, I was looking up the brothers, and one of the first videos that showed up actually was one of the brothers in whiteface doing a Joker monologue with white makeup on. And so it's not implausible.
Why so serious?
Welcome to NeoUnrealist. You heard it there, people. According to Jussie Smollett's attorney, Tina Glandian, in that interview with Today, over on NBC with Savannah Guthrie, it's not implausible that her client thought his attackers were white, in spite of the Osundairo brothers, who are of Nigerian descent, mind you, and therefore African Americans. It's not implausible that underneath their ski masks on this frozen Chicago night at 2 a.m., when it was somewhere between 10 and 20 degrees below zero Fahrenheit, you know, that the Osundairo brothers that he saw was wearing makeup to make himself look like the Joker. Yeah, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The Joker is at large in Gotham City. Oh, pardon me, Chicago. That makes a lot of sense now, because, you know, Jussie Smollett, it's become so clear to me he wasn't out roaming the crime-ridden streets at 2 a.m. because he wanted a Subway sandwich. You know, we've been lied to now. We've been lied to for a good reason. You see, it's the Joker, his nemesis, is a rich guy, you know, who habitually prowls the streets of the city at night in search of criminals to fight. Hey, who's that sound like? I think Jussie Smollett is Batman. We've seen the truth now. The state's attorney for Cook County, Kim Foxx, and her assistant Magats there, you know, they're trying to protect Batman's secret identity. This explains why they dropped all the charges against Bruce Wayne. Oh, sorry, Jussie Smollett, and had all the court records and the police files sealed. Chicago needs its Dark Knight, people, and because, hey, remember, he fought the fuck back. Now, with all due seriousness, you know, I've heard some whoppers in my time, you know, these liar-for-hire criminal defense attorneys. But this Tina Glandian, for her to be able to sit there and with a straight face on national television assert that her client may have been attacked by the Joker, I gotta salute her. She is a welcome addition to this debacle. Apparently some people do just want to see the world burn. Now let us remember way back when Jussie did that interview, and he didn't know that the Osundairo brothers were in custody, and to the best of his knowledge that the police were going by his description, and, you know, where he said he thought his attackers were white. So when informed that the police had 2 men in custody, he said he was willing to testify against them in court and potentially put behind bars 2 men who, if they were white, he knew had to be innocent because, as he knows, he hired the Osundairo brothers to stage that assault against him. So this guy said he was willing to burn 2 innocent men to perpetuate his hoax hate crime, you know, his narrative of MAGA country and all that. So it's not too far of a leap that he has this Tina Glandian now floating this trial balloon that the Osundairo brothers inexplicably are running around the city cosplaying as DC Comics supervillains. Now, in my previous video, I already went into how it looks like the long arm of the Obamas may have reached down from on high, down from Mount Olympus, to have state's attorney Kim Foxx convince the Chicago police superintendent, or at least attempt to hand the case over to the FBI and presumably to their civil rights division, which is notorious for being filled with hardcore left-wing activists sure to have taken a more sympathetic view towards Jussie Smollett's claims. Now, as you can imagine, some of the media initially took a conservatives pounce angle on the story. Well, look, the National District Attorneys Association, which I am guessing is not exactly MAGA country, is blasting the Cook County State's Attorney's Office for their handling of the Smollett case. Now, accusing them of dismissing the charges because of the defendant's wealth and political connections getting him preferential treatment. They represent the 2,700 prosecutor offices around the country, and they say this case stinks. You know, are they pouncing? And this Joker garbage is just an example of why it stinks. By letting this clown Smollett off, without any admission of guilt on his part, they're letting him and his lawyer run around and claim that he's an innocent victim and continue to make false accusations against the Chicago Police Department. In fact, threatening to sue the city of Chicago and the police department. You know, Mayor Rahm Emanuel, I forget, is he a pouncing conservative too? You know, I'm trying to remember. So yeah, Rahm Deadfish Emanuel, former White House chief of staff for the Messiah himself, President Barack Obama. Now, he announced yesterday that he was sending Jussie Smollett the bill of $130,000 that the Chicago Police Department spent investigating this made-up crime. So if you could get it any crazier, Jussie Smollett's other attorney, Mark Garagos, who if you remember just this Tuesday, was learned to be an unnamed co-conspirator in the Michael Avenatti scheme to blackmail the Nike Corporation for over $20 million by threatening to claim they were paying amateur basketball athletes against NCAA rules. So I guess if Mark Garagos is your other lawyer, the infamous celebrity liar for hire lawyer, maybe it's not such a stretch for this lead attorney, Tina Glandian, to concoct this Osundairo brother is the Joker defense. I mean, then to complete the three-ring circus yesterday, President Donald Trump himself weighed in on the situation by tweet. The president says that the FBI and Department of Justice will review what he calls the outrageous case in Chicago. I mean, he labeled it, and rightly so, an embarrassment to our nation. Now, this is an interesting situation, as the Chicago mayor, Rahm Emanuel, then he took umbrage at Trump's tweet, and he went on the radio and said in an interview on Chicago's WGN radio station that he wanted the president to sit this out. Well, there's just one problem with what Emanuel wants. It wasn't Trump who brought himself into this. You know, unlike when Obama opened his mouth and put himself in the middle of... Remember the Skip Gates case up in Massachusetts? Remember that whole... The police acted stupidly, the beer summit, all that nonsense? That was Obama, as he did many times during his presidency, weighing in on things, often things that had nothing to do with him. Now, all of a sudden, Trump can't weigh in on issues of national and public interest? Don't be ridiculous. Moreover, think about it. It was Jussie Smollett who dragged Trump into this at multiple points along the way. It was Smollett who concocted the scheme to orchestrate a hoax hate crime and implicate Donald Trump supporters for the crime. This is MAGA country, remember? Now, it was Jussie Smollett who, in a national TV interview, cited him coming hard at number 45 as the reason why people were criticizing him in his phony story. It was Jussie Smollett who sent multiple tweets calling Donald Trump very unflattering names, that if the situation were reversed and Trump tweeted those same exact words back at Smollett, I think there would be a torch and pitchfork mob outside the White House, and it'd probably get him burned in effigy in multiple street demonstrations across the country. Well, Rahm Emanuel, he could secure that bullcrap right there, because I think Trump has been overly restrained in not commenting much on this case, considering just how many times Jussie Smollett has done him and his supporters wrong all along the way. Now, the bottom line is this. If you're resorting to insane trial balloons about the Osundairos running around the streets of Chicago doing Joker cosplay so they could go beat a guy who just happened to pay them a check for $3,500, you know, one of only two paying clients they had, if you believe the check was actually just strictly for physical training services, and you're reaching. It looks to me that Smollett is playing a very dangerous game, because all the city of Chicago has to do to blow him out of the water is unseal the police and court records. And if he keeps this up, you know, threatening to sue the city, running down and insulting the police department, you know, attack Rahm Emanuel, who, if you don't know, Rahm Emanuel is one of the most vicious, vindictive people in all of politics. Remember, this guy's nickname is Dead Fish. You know, he got that nickname because he actually sent a guy a freaking dead fish along with the message, "It's been awful working with you." He sent that to a guy who screwed up a poll back in the late 80s in some Nowhereville house race in Erie County, you know, that cost the Democrats a close race to a Republican candidate. So if the Smollett team keeps this up, you watch how fast one of two things will happen. Either the Chicago police or someone in the corrupt, you know, from top to bottom, Cook County political machine will leak the sealed records, or option B, they don't even bother with the leaking and just officially unseal the records. They do that, Jussie Smollett is toast. He was probably going to get away with this. All he had to do was shut his mouth and sweat out the FBI investigation on the letter. That's going to be a lot harder to do now. He's got both the Chicago political establishment, the mayor's office, the police department, as well as the White House in Washington pissed off at him and in no mood to let this thing slide now. Who is advising this guy on PR? That's all for this NeoUnrealist. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Keep up with the new stuff. Now, if you want to toss some of your hard-earned dollars, the shekels, euros, yen, pesos, whatever, in support of the channel, you can do so at the links below. Patreon, PayPal, and now Subscribestar, the favorite destination for you Patreon refugee diaspora. BitChute viewers, of course, have the option using the green tip/pledge button. It's located below the player. Now, it's about that time now that if you're hearing this, that I acknowledge your fortitude, your perseverance in some way. For the number of you who've made it through the money-grubbing capitalist portion of this content,